Okay, so today we're going to talk about one of the proteins that you can cook for yourself. We're going to talk about chicken. Now, I'm a Southern girl, so of course I grew up eating fried chicken, but I no longer eat fried chicken, at least not the traditional fried chicken. So I found a way to get that same taste, that same flavor without adding all of the bad fats, the vegetable oil, and a lot of the other things that they do when we generally fry chicken. The other thing, one of the first things is I always use boneless breasts. I know most fried chicken is done with the bone in. That is not the healthiest way to cook the chicken, so I always get boneless breasts. So that's the first thing that we start out with. The other thing that I do differently is I don't cook in vegetable oil. I never use vegetable oil or canola oil or any of those traditional oils. I only use coconut oil. So I have my big vat of coconut oil here, and you can just see that I've started to put the oil in the pan to begin to let it melt. And this is actually what I'm going to fry the chicken in. And it's a much better choice. You're still getting the fat, but it's a good fat. It's one that you don't have to worry about, and you're going to see that we're going to fry it rather quickly, so it's not going to absorb a lot. I want to talk about a couple of the ingredients here that I use to make the chicken. I know that the traditional way to dredge and bread the chicken is to put it in an egg wash, and then put it in the breading, and then back in into another egg wash and into the breading. I found that I only have to do the process once if I use buttermilk. So we have actually a good organic grass-fed buttermilk here that we use, and then these are traditional breadcrumbs, but there are other things that you can use. You can actually make your own breadcrumbs from Ezekiel bread and other things, but for today, it's one of the few times that I ever use traditional breadcrumbs is with the chicken. One of the secrets that I have to why my breading tastes so good, why everybody really likes it a lot, even though it's a little less fatty, is I put grated Parmesan cheese in my breadcrumbs. So these are just a packaged breadcrumb, and you can see I have the shredded Parmesan mixed in there. So we're going to see if looks like the oil is melting nicely. It's almost ready for the chicken to go in. Gonna let that get nice and hot. And so we're just going to take one of the breasts here. I'm going to dump it put it in the buttermilk, let it drip off a little bit, and put that in the breading. And you just want to make sure that it gets nice and coated. You have to, since there is no bone, you got to make sure you lay it out nicely so that all the crevices. And the other good part of this is you're not using a lot of breading, so if you're trying to cut back on that bread, then you're good to go. And we're going to place this one in, and that one's going to get started. And one of the best tips, and my mom always said the best thing you can do for when you're cooking fried chicken is to leave it alone. Don't turn it too fast. Let it rest in the pan. And I still do that. That's still really important. So we're going to get this. Get all four of these done. And I know there's going to be a lot of people that are going to be like, she's making fried chicken. She always says we don't eat anything breaded. If you are on a plan, if you're in the beginning of your lifestyle change plan and you're trying to lose weight, this dish should not be on your menu. Okay, you can eat the chicken, but we're not going to fry it, because even though it's a healthier way to do it, if weight loss is your goal, this is not one of the dishes that you want to have on a regular basis as you're trying to lose weight. But if you're healthy and at a good weight and you just want to eat well, this is a really great way to have a favorite dish, you know, something that I grew up with, that you can have it in a healthy way and it's really tasty. The other thing is the buttermilk really seems, because I've tried lots of other types of washes, and not that egg is bad, because you know we love eggs, we use eggs all the time, but this seems to really make not only a good flavor, but it makes it very moist too. Another part of that is that I'm sorry about that, is that I'm using really good chicken. If you can buy your chicken from a farm that raises it, that's obviously the best thing to do. But you always want to know, when it comes to protein, your beef, your pork, your chicken, turkey, whatever the protein is that you're eating, you want to make sure that you know where it's coming from. Everything should be, your chickens should be pasture raised, and your beef should be grass fed. You don't want it matters where your protein is coming from. So one of the best things that you can do for yourself is to locally find a farm, especially if you live, you know, in an area where farms are around. Obviously if you're in New York City or something, that might be a little difficult, but if you have a local farm somewhere, frequent them and buy your produce and your proteins and stuff from those. So we're going to take a little break and we'll come back at the end and we'll show you what this looks like when we're all done. So what I want you to notice is how it looks really dark brown around the bottom. You can just sort of see that, and that's when we know that we're ready to flip it. And you can see it has that nice color. There's not so much breading on here that we really have, you know, nutritionally anything to worry about, but it's going to give a nice crisp flavor to it. And again, this is coconut oil, so it actually gives a really fantastic flavor to the chicken too that's a little unexpected. So we're probably just a few minutes out from this being done. You always want to make sure that your chicken is cooked through. You never want to serve your chicken underdone, especially if you're serving it to elderly people or children. You definitely want to watch for undercooked food with those age groups. I'm going to let this finish up. One of the things that I am going to do in this segment is also I'm going to cook a steak. I'm going to talk to you about that too. So you're going to see both of that going on. That'll be a separate video, but just to let you know that we're going to be doing that at the same time, because I love the chicken, but my husband prefers the steak, so I usually cook both at the same time. So we're going to do that. When we come back, I'll show you the end product of this, and then we'll get started on the next video talking about the steak. Okay, so the chicken is definitely done. So I want to get it out of the pan and resting on a plate, because if you leave it, you can turn the heat off of the pan, but it will continue to cook in there. Oh, I'm sorry. So we want to make sure that we stop the cooking. Now, that looks like a lot of chicken for 2 people. I'm messing with my cameraman here, sorry about that. It looks like a lot of chicken for 2 people, but like I said, one of the best things you can do to help yourself is to plan ahead. So I've cooked extra here because for lunch tomorrow, I'm going to have a nice green salad with some chicken on it, with some of my roasted vegetables. So this is not only for dinner this evening, this is also going to be for lunch tomorrow. So always try to do a little bit extra, especially if you're packing your lunch, which of course we always want to pack our lunch. Eating out is, if you can avoid it, especially if you're trying to lose weight, you want to avoid eating out. A lot of sodium in those foods. So this way you know what's in it, you know what's being prepared, and you can prepare enough to take for lunch the next day. It doesn't mean I have to eat chicken breast tomorrow. I can eat it in my salad and make it a little different. So I encourage that. So this is our not so southern fried chicken, new version, and we're probably going to have this with some variations in it in the cookbook that we're doing, so which is a variation on southern recipes, a healthy southern recipe variation. So anyway, keep this in mind and try this, and I hope you enjoy.